I need quiet on set, please.
Sorry, that was loud.
You're crinkling your bags and you're blowing your nose and you're coughing is just a little distracting.
It's a little loud.
Okay, welcome back to episode 2 of the Empower podcast. Wow. Okay, I don't know when that's gonna get old for me to say that, but it hasn't yet, so just bear with me, people. All right, so today we are talking about anxiety. We're talking about the mental aspect of your fitness journeys and mental health and wellness, and anxiety is the topic for today. So we're just going to kind of get into kind of what that means, a little bit of my experience with anxiety, clients' experience with anxiety that I have noticed. Part of my job as a personal trainer, at least the part that I take on, is tackling those mental and behavioral barriers that do come with a fitness journey. So people think that my job is just putting people through the physical work, but that's not it. Because fitness is more than just physical, it's definitely mental. Thank you, Figgy, for your input. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit today. I'm gonna be giving some tips and tricks on the things that I use to help me through anxious times that hopefully will help you. But let's just start right off the bat. For anybody that doesn't or can't relate to having anxiety or doesn't know really what that feels like, or the definition of anxiety, because I feel like that word gets thrown around a lot for a lot of different things, but sometimes because of that it can kind of lose its direct definition. So anxiety really just means it's a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. Some of the things that do come with that feeling of worry and nervousness, it's not just up in your head. It actually does take a physical toll on your body. So a lot of times anxiety can manifest itself in your body by a tight feeling in your chest. Your heart is racing, your palms or like your forehead gets sweaty, you're really clouded with obsessive thoughts, and it can just be really physically exhausting as well as mentally exhausting. There's a number of things that people can be anxious about. You can have social anxiety, relationship anxiety, you can get anxious about money or death or illness, a whole number of things. And I work with a lot of people that have social or gym anxiety because that is a big fear of a lot of people, especially in women. As women, we go to the gym, and usually the type of exercise that I teach, which is weightlifting and strength training, is usually a section in the gym that is really male dominated. So it can be a little intimidating. So that sometimes kind of induces anxiety or anxious feelings. So that's usually the stuff that I help with. But I'm going to talk about a couple of other different types of anxiety for people that aren't in the gym all the time or that experience anxiety, but it's just not about the gym. So for example, some of the things that I experience anxiety about, there's a handful of stuff, but two of the biggest ones are probably money and finances and illness and death. I get really scared and anxious about those things, and they do have kind of a story behind those things. Everybody's triggers always has a reason why. For me, finances and money anxiety comes from my student loan. I went to an art school and it was amazing. I owe so much of my life, the way that it is right now, to that school, but it did come with a pretty hefty fee. So when I got out of SCAD, I walked out with a loan that was in the $100,000s. And for the first 2 years post-graduation, I was just frantic about that loan. I couldn't think about anything else but money. It felt like I was in this, just deep hole that I was never going to get out of. And thankfully I did. I am able to now, manageably make those loan payments back, but it took 2 years of tears and anxiety and just like awful times. But now I notice that anytime I have financial issues, small or big, it does kind of throw me into an anxious episode, and it acts as a trigger for me that sometimes can take days or even weeks to kind of pull myself out of, which is really exhausting and taxing, not only for myself, but the people around me. Another thing that I also get anxious about is, I said death or illness. So for me, I fear those things. When I was little, when I was about 8 years old, my dad passed away from an illness that is still unknown. It was unknown when he had it and when he passed away from it, and even now, 18 years later, we still don't know what it was. So for me, anytime I get any little thing, any little bump, a cold, a headache that lasts too long, my first thought is the worst case scenario. You know, what if this is the same thing? What if this is something bad? So that's something that I deal with a lot. And again, that can be super taxing, not only for me, but for the people around me. So we're also going to talk about some of the tips that I have learned to help soothe my anxiety that will hopefully help you. I'm a big believer in self-help books, self-care. Anything I can do to help myself is the first thing that I'm gonna try. So I always go to books. So I do have 2 book recommendations that have helped me learn about all of these attachment styles and different reasons that anxiety can come up in your life and different ways to treat it. So I am gonna link those in the blog post of this podcast. If you do head over to my website, henleyhealth.fitness, you will be able to find those there. Those 2 books are gonna be Your Brain is Always Listening and the Assertiveness Guide for Women. So those will be linked on my website if you do want to check those out. But now that we've kind of gone into some of the reasons why somebody could be anxious or experience anxiety, let's kind of go straight into the things that can help, or the little tricks that I have tried that might be able to help you as well. So I have about maybe 3 or 4 little tips here. So the first one that I'm gonna get into, that I am saying first because I truly cannot hype it up enough, is this app called Bloom. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy app and like a self-care app. I can never say this enough that I think everybody needs therapy, working with an actual person or a third party to help you through something and talk something out. There's no comparison. I think everybody needs it, and it's amazing. But if you don't have the means to get yourself a therapist at this time, for whatever reason, this is a really good substitution until you can get that. And even after you have a therapist, this is kind of a good app to use as like homework and extending those tools to help you get through those anxious times. So the thing I love about this is that it provides help in the moment. So having a therapist, you only get to see them, an hour, once a week, once every 2 weeks, however often. So that means that sometimes when you are experiencing those actual anxious panic attack kind of times, you may not have access to the therapist. But with Bloom, you basically have that access anytime you need it, right from your pocket. So you can just pull out your phone. All you need is 10 minutes. If you can step away from the situation for 10 minutes and get into a session that you think would help you best, it's unbelievably beneficial. So Bloom provides personalized daily mental health education with videos from experts that teach skills to manage stress and anxiety, improve sleep, build better habits, foster stronger relationships, and improve one's quality of life. It combines these interactive video lessons with journaling and mindfulness exercises to help you on your mental wellness journey, change your mood, and cultivate more joy in your life. So I know this kind of sounds like an ad for Bloom. I swear it's not. If anyone from Bloom is listening, you could sponsor me because I just love the app so much. But that's beside the point. So meditating and breathing is my second little tip that definitely is a struggle. It takes practice. Meditation is a mindfulness practice to help train attention and awareness and achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm state. So breathing work and just kind of separating yourself, taking yourself out of the situation to experience a calm, emotional, and mentally clear state. Now, meditation is something that I kind of struggle with because when you have anxiety, usually you have racing thoughts. But the whole point of meditation is not to eliminate those thoughts. It's to be able to sit down and kind of relax, remove yourself from the situation, and acknowledge the thoughts that are passing through, but acknowledge them, and then let them pass. So trying not to focus too intensely or too much on one particular thought, and know that you are still okay, that you're still safe. So if meditation is something that you struggle with or something that you've thought about but haven't tried yet, I would definitely suggest a guided meditation. You can get any of those guided meditations on YouTube or Headspace, or even podcasts on Spotify help guide you through certain meditations that are really only no more than 10 minutes. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely have somebody guide you through it. It makes it a little bit easier and less daunting. Another tip that I have found actually unbelievably helpful that one of my best friends told me about when I was really struggling with panic attacks. My anxiety was just getting worse and I couldn't figure out how to soothe myself in moments where it would get really bad. EFT tapping therapy. It's emotional freedom technique therapy. It's an alternative treatment for physical pain and emotional distress. So it's basically tapping that hits certain nerves like in your face or on your body that help you distract yourself and bring you back to your physical body. When your brain and your mind is just wrapping you up in overwhelming obsessive thoughts, you do need a way to come out of it, and usually the best way to do that is to bring yourself back to your physical body and your physical space to bring you back into the moment. There are several different tapping points. So the first one is going to be on the side of your hand, and all you have to do is just tap your finger, a finger or two fingers, just tapping your hand, tapping your eyebrow, the side of your eye, or even under your eye. You can tap under your nose, under your chin, collarbone, under your arm. That one, I gotta say, I never use because it just, in public, you wouldn't be like tapping your underarm. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I like to be a little bit more discreet if I'm gonna be sitting there tapping myself in public. Or you can also tap the top of your head. So like I said, it's just used as a kind of distraction to bring you back to your physical body and your present space. I'm not gonna lie, it may look ridiculous, but it is so helpful. I've done it so many times, and one that helps me the most is putting my hand on my chest and just tapping my chest. It just kind of simulates your heartbeat, and it helps remind you that you're okay. Focus that attention on that spot. The last little tip that I have seems more obvious than what you'd think, but I think it needs to be said. Reaching out to friends and family members. Even if you're like me, where I don't get the chance to talk to, my cousins or my friends very often because I experience anxiety, I usually isolate myself. And in times that I think I could use them or could talk to them, I stop myself or make myself feel like I can't because I don't talk to them very often. So, my thought process is, well, Emily, you can't just reach out when you need something. So just because you need help right now doesn't mean that you can just reach out if you don't talk to them on the regular. You kind of put yourself into this spiral of negative thoughts as to why you shouldn't. But ignore those. Reaching out to your loved ones, your best friends, even if you haven't talked to them in a year, start the conversation, reach out, ask for help, because it really, really, really is so unbelievably helpful just to know that you have that support, even if they don't have the most advice for you or the best advice for you. Just having somebody else listen and say, I understand, or I'm here for you, even if that's all they say, it's so unbelievably, immensely helpful. That's gonna wrap up this episode. We are gonna be talking about anxiety and all these other things and mental health more in this podcast, because the mental is just as important as the physical in fitness or just in a healthy lifestyle. I will see you guys, or you'll hear me on the next episode of the Empower podcast. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you guys have a good day. I will catch you guys next week right here. I will see you guys later. Bye, guys.